Okay, so we are kicking off our 2 days of live coverage of the FPA NorCal conference in beautiful San Francisco. And starting us off for our coverage, we have Terri Kallsen, who is managing partner, I believe, at Rise Growth Partners.
That's right. I am a managing partner. We've been in business for over 3.5 years. It's going very, very well. As you know, it's a minority investment firm.
Yes.
And we work very closely with independent RIAs to help them grow exponentially. So
absolutely.
I'm happy to be here with you, Chuck.
And you work with another gentleman whose name, Joe Duran.
Oh, yes, Joe Duran.
That guy.
He is a legacy in the industry, and he's one of the most visionary leaders I've ever had the pleasure to work with.
Without question, and an awesome speaker. I've had the chance to hear him speak twice, and he's absolutely engaged. And he's been on the show at least once or twice.
I've listened to him on your show. You've done a great job trying to manage him because he's got so much energy.
With a guest like Joe, like, topic, go, let me know when you're done.
Yeah.
That's all good.
Well, I can tell you, Joe has really found, I think, his greatest opportunities to give back now to the industry. And we are enjoying it, we're having fun, we're growing, and it's really been one of the best experiences I've had.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that in some depth. And as you all know in the audience, these are 5 or 6 minute segments. But I do want to explain one thing. Why is it so dead back here? And it is not dead. It's dead right this moment because everyone about 30 feet behind us is listening to Kitsis. So for the first time ever on goRIA, we're going to do a little mobile cam.
That
we'll see
like
if this
fun.
works.
We're going to go see the people.
Let's go see. Hopefully this is picking up, and we're going to just do a little peek inside and see where everyone is. And I promise you there's a lot of people at this conference.
Providing some opportunities to get into client meetings. We do find client-facing experiences much more driving than overall experience. It doesn't mean you can't do a year or two.
That's a lot of people.
That's a ton of people. Oh, I think I hit the door. Okay, now back to our regularly scheduled programming. And we'll do one of these as we're walking and talking.
I can't believe I can do this. Walk, talk, and answer questions.
Now, if you threw chewing gum in there, that might have
yeah, that's
thrown us off.
Way too much for me.
Okay, so we'll see how that looks.
Yeah.
But I think that was pretty good. But I did want to show like how packed this conference is. It's one of my favorite conferences, and I go to a lot of them. And listening to Kitsis speak, which I'll be doing right after this.
Well, one thing I really love about this is you have a lot of energy. The FPA NorCal has been successful for so many years, and you just feel the energy. So I hope that you can experience that.
Absolutely. So. With all that said, and we have a fun topic for us to talk about because we are both going to be speakers. I'm going on stage in about an hour. You're going on stage today or tomorrow?
This afternoon.
This afternoon, okay. And now those were actually segregated intentionally because we're both going to be talking about a similar topic, but from a different vantage point. We're going to be talking about solving for succession. Terri will be doing it with PE. I'll be doing it sans PE. So a little bit of, I don't want to say controversy because it's not. It really is what is the best fit for you.
I like to think of it, Chuck, as he said, she said. So.
That's even better. I love that. He said, she said. So that sounds good. So let's start off with what you're going to be talking about, and I'll just pepper it a little bit with what I'll be speaking of and the contrast, and we'll talk about that later today or tomorrow. I think one of my panelists, David Grau, will be on, and we'll back clean up then.
Wonderful.
With all of that said, with possibly the longest intro in goRIA history, tell us what you're doing at Rise.
Well, I'll just tell you succinctly what we're doing here today is to talk about, for founders that have choices in how they want to spend the last legacy of their career. And it's really about planning a transition as a competitive advantage versus an exit. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the flavor of choices out there for PE, for investments, for various firms that may be interested in your firm to be an aggregator. And I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of that based on what I think the firm's goals are. So it all starts with goals, right? We're CFPs, we're planners. I'm going to help the founders decide what plan is best for them.
Absolutely. And I'll be doing just the opposite. Kind of, sort of, but you touched upon, and we talked about this last night at the speaker dinner, which was fantastic, by the way.
It was.
Great food. It all starts with understanding what are you trying to solve for, right? So I'll just speak for me very, very quickly. So I decided to not go the PE route. Instead, sell some, not all, of my equity to our next-gen leaders and advisors. Why did that make sense for me? Number one, for me, I'm not done.
Right.
I just feel sovereign is just getting into its stride. And I kind of think of myself as the Colonel Sanders of the RIA industry. Do you know why I would say that?
Colonel Sanders.
Colonel
You're not
Sanders.
that old, I'm sorry.
But do you know how old he was? I wasn't that old necessarily when I started Sovereign, but he started KFC. Do you know how old he was?
No, I don't.
65 years old.
Wow, what an amazing...
I am not 65 years old. And I started Sovereign in my early 50s, but I wish I started it sooner because I would have been at this stage even faster. But I see some real potential for what we're doing and building, and that excites me. I really love it. So I want to be involved with that really in a pretty hands-on way, but I want to get rid of the minutia. So for me, with those goals clearly defined, internal succession made sense. Take the other side of that. Some people that you've had some wonderful success with, how did they define their goals? What were they trying to solve for?
Well, there's a couple different options that I think founders are thinking about, at least the founders that I've been working with for 20, 30 years. And, you know, Chuck, he said something so important that I want to punctuate with you, is he said, I wish I would have started earlier.
Yeah.
Well, if there's any message that I would say for succession, is start as early as you think possible.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
too often it's an afterthought. We're not thinking through the next 5 to 10 years. But besides that, the way we look at it at Rise Growth, we're a minority investor, right? We bring capital and expertise.
Yeah.
And so what we do when we're working with firms is if they're interested in what we might call a second bite at the apple at some time down the road, and so this would be someone that has, 10 to 20 years runway, still has great organic growth, still has a lot of fuel in the tank, just like I think you're describing. We would make an investment in them for up to 49%. They could take capital, they would have they could take liquidity, and they can take the cash and then leave some on the balance sheet, and we'll help them with M&A, we'll help them with organic growth, we'll help them with talent strategy and governance. If that is what a founder is looking for, then there are options in terms of external capital. But it doesn't work for everyone, and it really depends, again, back to your own goals as well as your timeline.
I think that is the absolute bottom line, is to first, and as financial planners, we say this all the time with our clients. And I joke sometimes with when a prospective client comes in, it's like, well, what should I do with this portfolio? And the analogy I use is, imagine you go into a doctor's office and just simply say, I don't feel so good, what pill should I take?
Right.
I don't know, we need to do a little bit more analysis. And I think it's so important for a founder to do that same thing and literally put it on pen and paper. What are you trying to solve for? And then find the fit. And the fit might be internal, it might be with an external partner, might be a full sale, might be minority. One thing I really like about your outfit, well, there's a lot of things, but I like that it's not just money and it comes with expertise. And we were talking about this last night too, right? So I just recently found out what PTO was, paid time off. I had no idea, right? I've never had a real job in my entire life. It's always been a small company. We never had PTO policies.
Right.
So I think to go from 100 million to $1 billion, which is what we've done in not even a handful of years, that was a huge amount of growth. And now it's a whole different enterprise on how to run it. I can only imagine how different it is to go from 1 to 10. And I suspect that's where you guys add a lot of value.
That is exactly right. Chuck, I think your humility is shining through. You've accomplished a lot. But we have a saying that we talk about, what got you here won't get you there.
Absolutely.
And so all the success that founders have had for the last 10 years isn't necessarily the talent, the structure, really the system itself to get them to 10 billion per se. And there is an inflection point in there where you do need a little more institutional knowledge, a little bit more discipline around execution, and a little bit more performance expectations. It doesn't change the culture. We keep the culture as is because that's what makes every firm so important. But I would say we add in, we're in the foxhole with them. Let's say I worked at a military company. Memorial Day is such an important time. But we're in the foxhole with them, side by side, pointing out navigation opportunities. They choose whether they want to do them or not.
That sounds real good. Okay, so as we're coming up on time, and I think I probably know what you might say, but I don't want to assume. For the folks in the audience that are thinking about succession right now, I think we've covered it already 3 or 4 times, but other than starting it as soon as possible, which I think we all know, anything else you would tell them as far far as advice?
Well, I think this is going to come up a lot in the next decade, right? So you and I are going to be standing here probably a year from now, 5, 10 years from now. There's $2.3 trillion that is going to transfer in the next 10 years in the RIA industry. I am not talking about wealth transfer with clients. I am talking about founders hitting a certain age that they may want to make a transition, be it internal or external. And so this is going to come up a lot, and what I would say to everyone out in the audience, everyone who might be interested, start early, start asking questions, start writing your concepts down. Go ask someone that you trust for help. It could be another partner, it could be in the banking industry, but ask for help, get another party's objectives, and then start moving forward. Because the most important thing you can do is start thinking about what do you want to achieve, and once you know that, then you can take the calls. I think one of the biggest mistakes founders make is they take the call, they hear a flashy multiple, and they figure out, okay, how do I do that? Versus going backwards and saying, what is it that I really want?
That's great advice. I think we're going to put a pin in it right there. Terri, thanks a lot for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you, Chuck.
You bet. So this is number 1 of 8 segments I'll be doing between today and tomorrow. I'll be back in another hour, hour and a half with our next guest. I will see you then. Thanks for joining us. Good. That was fantastic.